Magandang hapon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Mayap at gatipan na po sa ating mga kapatid na Kapampangan na Imbagamalin sa mga Ilocano. Masanto siyang nga rin sa ating mga Kapampangan na Kabalenjan at maharahay na hapon sa mga Bicolano. Sa Visayas naman, maayong hapon, maupay nga kulop, maayong ugto. Sa Mindanao, assalamualaikum, buenas tardes.
At para po sa ating mga panoorin banyaga, good afternoon, annyeonghaseyo, konnichiwa, salamat siyang, shangwuhang. Welcome po sa ating mga regular na tagapakinig at tagapanood dito sa Zoom at sa ating Facebook Live. Hello po sa inyong lahat.
Hello Paul Anyong, magandang hapon uli po at mabuhay po tayong lahat at syempre magandang hapon sa iyo kapartner, no? Medyo na-miss kita, medyo nakakailang absent na ako pero thank you, you're doing a great job. So welcome po sa ating ika-37 or 37th episode ng ating The Filipino Sustainable Development Goals Action Hour or SDG Action Hour. Ito yung ating lingguhang kumustahan para sa maganda, maayos, mabuti, at makabulang kinabukasan. Isang oras talaga to, Paul, ng hitik na discussion, no, ng mga usapitan na talaga namang napapanahon at dapat talagang pag-usapan. So bago ang lahat, Paul, gusto ko lang munang i-congratulate yung National Academy of Science and Technology or ang NAST dahil sa matagumpay ng pagsasagawa ng kanilang ika-45th National Scientific Meeting na naganapan ng nakaraang 2 araw. Talaga nung napaka-successful ng tinatawag na Meeting of Scientific Minds, no? So congratulations ulit sa ating mga academicians. Congratulations sa ating mga scientists.
And thank you po, Ma'am Dada, and welcome back nga po. And also, congratulations nga po sa NAST for another successful event. And para naman po sa SDG Action Hour, ngayong hapon ay we are truly honored to have with us another special guest para naman po magpresenta na isa na namang exciting and interesting topic. And for this afternoon, ating nga pong topic ay pinamagatang Industrial Engineering for Humanity, Building a Sustainable Future.
Aba, nag-iisip na ako, ano ba yan? Pero palang feeling ko talaga napakaganda at napaka-interesting na topic yan for this afternoon, Paul. Paano ba makakatulong ang industrial engineering sa atin para sa ating makabuluhan at sustainable na kinabukasan? Alam mo, inahanap ko, ano ba sa Tagalog ang sustainable? Hindi ko talaga mahanap, hindi makita ng ating Tagalog English Dictionary. Pero malalaman natin mamaya sa ating special na panauhin paano ba makakatulong ang industrial engineering sa sustainable future natin.
Tama po yan, Miss Dada. And for this afternoon ay mapakikinggan po natin ang ating kapitapitagang panauhin na magbabahagi ng mga interventions at mga tagumpay sa larangan naman po ng industrial engineering.
Yes, as usual, Biyernes na naman ngayon, laging special ang ating mga topics na inihahatid sa atin ng mga special na panauhin. Kaya naman, huwag na natin itong pagtagalin, Paul. Excited na ako malaman yung industrial engineering, medyo hindi ko masyado talagang naiintindihan yan. Pero ngayon, I'm sure maiintindihan ko yan dahil talaga namang piling-pili yung panauhin natin sa hapong ito.
And eto na po, Ma'am Dada, i-proceed na po natin ang diskusyon na ito. So ating special guest po sa hapong ito ay nagtapos ng kanyang bachelor's at master's degree sa industrial engineering mula po sa Universidad ng Pilipinas sa Diliman. And after this, she completed her doctoral degree mula sa Purdue University mula naman po sa Estados Unidos. And currently, siya po ay professor sa Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research ng University of the Philippines, Diliman.
Naku, hindi lang yan, Paul, ha? Alam mo ba how special and well-established ang ating panauhin ngayon? Nung March, itong year na to, she became a featured faculty of the Public Management and Development Program of the Development Academy of the Philippines. She also serves as the faculty in charge of the Managing High-Performing Public Sector Organizations module of the Middle Managers class and the co-faculty of the Innovation and Strategic Management module of the Senior Executive class. Ayan.
At ito nga po, even during the pandemic, and this is November 2020, ay nakatanggap pa rin po siya ng parangal from as the Outstanding Alumni Award from the UP Industrial Engineering Alumni Association. And just a month after that, December din po ng same year, ay nakatanggap naman po siya ng National Achievement Award for Engineering Education mula naman po sa UP Alumni Engineers Association. So many awards for our speaker.
Grabe. awardee na. Ang dami pa talagang na talagang excited na ako, no? Alam mo ba ang areas of interest ng ating kapitapitagang guest hapon nito include operations research, productivity, quality management, occupation safe and health, human factors engineering and ergonomics. At ang kanyang mentoring capability, hindi yan matatawaran kasi lubos na iginagalang at sumasaklaw hindi lamang sa larangan ng industrial engineering, kundi pati sa iba-ibang disiplina ng engineering. Alam mo, may mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, alam mo bang electronic and community, basta lahat ng classic engineering, no? Kaya, ako sobrang overwhelmed na ako sa guest natin. Kaya let's go na. Mga ka-SDG Action Hour, let us all welcome our very special guest for this afternoon, Doctor and academician of the National Academy of Science and Technology. Dalawang pronunciation ang babagitin ko, ha? Pang Pilipinas at pang abroad. Let us all welcome Dr. Aura in Pilipinas, Aura in abroad, si Matias.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo. Naman dadahin po, nakakataba naman ng puso ang inyong pag-introduce at pagpapakilala sa akin. Ako po ay isang ordinaryong Pilipina na nagmamahal sa bansang Pilipinas, sa naglilingkod bilang isang edukador, educator sa academy.
We're so honored, ma'am, na nandito kayo.
Oo, maraming salamat. Ako ay nabigyan ng pagkakataon na makasama nyo sa inyong SDG Hour. Paminsan-minsan panaka-naka ako'y nakakasali sa mga nakaraang mga SDG hours nyo. Ako'y I hold National Scientist Luli Cruz with high esteem. Kaya nung kanyang naimbita ay hindi ako nag-atubiling umuo. Hindi ako makahindi. So anyway, maraming salamat sa pagkakataon na binigay niyo sa akin na maibahagi ko naman kung ano naman ang ambag ng mga industrial engineers. So bago lahat, ay babatiin ko din ang mga bagong halal na mga professional engineers. So may oath-taking po ako. Pagkatapos natin, tatakbo po ako sa New World Hotel. May oath-taking po na ika-13 oath-taking ng aming mga certified industrial engineers at professional industrial engineers.
Congratulations!
Congratulations po sa lahat ng mga nakapasa sa aming certification program. Wala po kaming board exam. Self-regulated po ang mga industrial engineers. No? So, it is our professional association na ako naman din ang nagsimula. So, sinusok ko na magkaroon ng regulation in short of the
board exam.
Mm-hmm. Ang equivalent po noon ay is a certification program that is run by the professional association. So mas mahirap pa nga actually kasi peers ang susi sa'yo. So anyway, ang bahagi po ng ang aking task ngayon ay ibahagi sa inyo ano naman po ang ambag ng mga industrial engineers. So i-share ko na po ang aking screen. Ayan. So nakikita na po ba? Simulan ko na ang screen sharing. So okay na po. Nakikita niyo na po. Ang pamagat po ay Industrial Engineering for Humanity, Building a Sustainable Future. So, simulan ko po yung aking pag-uulat at pagbabahagi sa pamamagitan ng ano ba ang nangyari sa Pilipinas at sa buong mundo as a result of the pandemic, and lalo-lalo na naging kailangan talagang pagtulungan at pag-isipan ang usapin ng resilience and sustainability dahil po nakita po natin na hindi po tayo naging handa, no, sa isang klaseng napakalawak na pangyayari sa buong mundo katulad ng COVID-19. So, masasabi ko na mayroong tatlo. I can group the impact in terms of three aspects. So, una, yung definitely most obvious is the public health risk. So, naging hamon sa atin yung access to quality healthcare. Gawa nga ng una, hindi natin alam kung paano ang pag-treat, kung paano tutulungan yung mga may simptomas. Naging burden on our healthcare facilities and medical professionals yung pagdumog ng dami ng mga naging infected citizens. And then, of course, dahil nga hindi tayo prepared enough for this volume and magnitude of illness, sick that comes to our hospitals, ay nangyari po na alam naman ninyo kung ano na nangyari sa ating mga health professionals. Marami naging biktima, na marami tayong nawala, na mapamilya, bukod pa pati healthcare workers. At kailangan pong mag-retrofit ng buong ating mga hospital systems, yung paglalagay ng mga isolation facilities and so on and so forth. So, yun ang isa sa isang naging hamon sa atin. Pangalawa, the other aspect of impact to us is social restrictions. No? So, anong nangyari? Dahil nga, iniiwasan natin na magkaroon ng malawak ang pagkalat ng sakit na COVID-19. We had to cancel face-to-face classes. So, nawala ang mga estudyante sa mga araran, nahinto ang kanilang educational learning schedules. Pangalawa, sa mga manggagawa naman, workers were prevented from going to work. So, nag-shutdown, in fact, nangailangan na huminto ang ating mga factories. It took a burden on our economic activities. Travel to public places were prohibited dahil gawa nga ng mobility was definitely inhibited. And anong naging resulta nun? Because tayo ay very social, no? Because of our social nature, we had many incidents of breakdown. So, dumami ang incidents ng anxiety, ng depression, nagkaroon ng cabin fever na tinatawag, na yung parang nakulong ko, di ba? Tayo, ayaw nating nakukulong, gusto natin nakakalabas tayo. So, naging highlight actually ang mental health issues sa panahon ng pandemya. And up to now, no, na medyo napupunta na tayo sa post-pandemic situation. Nandun pa rin ang lingering effects, no? Both physical as well as mental concerns. At pangatlo, yun nga, yung economic disruption. Dahil nga, kailangan huminto ang operations ng ating mga business sector. And as a result nun, loss of livelihood, reduced work hours, and ito ang pinakahuli, yung hampered food supply. Na marami tayong pagkain sa source pero hindi nakakarating sa distribution dahil nga hininto ang paglakbay ng mga food supply from the source to the market. So, yan ang mga tatlong hamon na hinarap natin nung nakaraang 3 taon na tayo ay humarap sa COVID-19. So, doon ako sa punto ko, no, what can industrial engineers do? Ano bang meron na skills ang isang inhinyero na sa aralangan ng industrial engineering? Ano ba ang naitulong nila? No? So, very briefly, industrial engineers are trained to be problem solvers. No? And our training is that the IEs are people who find that it is creative and fun to make things work better. So we always try to see ways of doing things in a better, more efficient, no, finding the shortest, the quickest, the cheapest and best way to do things. No, and think it's fun to solve that puzzle. So we try to strive for delivering excellence in quality in all that we do. So we always say, mantra namin, there is always a better way. Even if you have solved it for once, no, but new problems arise eventually. Pero you do not stop from examining your solutions, you follow through, and then you still continue to look for ways of doing things better. No? Not only do IS have good technical skills like being good in math, science, computers, given na yun kasi engineering ang basic skills mo, but IEs have very good people skills. So we learn how business works, how the world works, and we look at the big picture and how things fit. So it is really a marriage between the technical skills of engineering, the business skills of understanding how the business operates, and then also because we are concerned about the human computer human machine interface. We look at individuals or individuals as the greatest asset of an organization, and we design with the human as our centerpiece. Okay, and systems thinking, no? So essentially, so ano yun? What other things can you do? I want to put in, dahil na ang area ko po ay nasa ergonomics. Naging highlight ito nung naging humingi ng tulong sa amin ang PGH. My area is in human factors and ergonomics, and so, like I mentioned, it was the healthcare sector that was mainly affected by the pandemic. And one of the first things that we were called upon to help with is in the design of wearable PPEs, or personal protection equipment. No? So at first, it was mainly for medical workers. No? So we are talking about face masks, face shields, gloves, gowns, to protect themselves, our medical professionals, while treating patients with the disease. No? You can see images on Facebook how some even show already scars on their faces. Doctors also, you can see yung strain on their skin because of the prolonged use of masks. There have been reports of fatigue and heat stroke caused by the weight and discomfort of hazmats, kasi lalo na yung complete, kailangan full protected ka. No? So, ang bigat nun. Tapos ang hirap, malalim, tapos hindi ka pa makapag-jingle siguro, no? So, PPEs, therefore, should be designed not only for protection, but also for the comfort, ease of use, and to reduce the contact stress. No? So, what we saw in the market now is the emergence of new enterprises actually catering to the supply of PPE. Especially now that easing of quarantine restrictions, the general public now it used to be required, but it is now highly suggested that we use face masks. No? So face shields, hindi na kailangan. But face masks, we continue to encourage. No? So, nakita nyo na iba-iba na ang mga design. Merong mga designer pa nga na face mask na nakikita tayo in the market. So, secondly, in order to resume the delivery of educations, our schools had to adapt remote learning methods. No? Natuto tayong gumamit ng Zoom. Natuto tayo ng katulad ngayon na meron tayong webinar. No? So, this resulted in the design of our curricula, lalo na pati yung method of evaluation, making use of the internet and digital platforms. So, what we see now are students interacting with their faculty through two types of synchronous and asynchronous activities, and therefore, ergonomics come into play with respect to mitigating the psychosocial stresses caused by a sudden change in the teaching environment, both for our faculty and our students. No? So, ergonomic principles are also applied by developers of software and applications to facilitate the ease of learning online applications and platforms. So, importante kasi na we don't crowd our screens. There is interactive options. There are ways of communicating both offline and online, and so on and so forth. So, naging digitally savvy tayo as a result. No? In fact, what the pandemic brought about is the acceleration. We used to have learning management systems many years. We've been using it for the longest time, except that it's optional and it was only used as a supplement. But now, there are now learning models, like particularly for distance learning, using full remote. And this is something that we are still adjusting to. Now, what was the response of the IE department in the pandemic? So one example I'd like to share with you is the model, it's a web-based model we call Deploy that was developed for the DTI. UP Diliman, our team actually, the IE faculty, had this opportunity in alleviating challenges in the supply of goods for Filipinos. And we call this the Demand Supply Planning and Optimization System with the acronym DEPLOY. The objectives of the project were to develop web-based models of demand supply chains of selected essential goods. It shall serve as the base models or platforms where data can be run to provide appropriate stakeholders and decision makers, such as government agencies. We provided them with a dashboard with a visual tool for strategic and tactical scenario planning, and to provide initial data such that the stakeholder may use the web-based models described to visualize demand and supply. So, ang minodel po namin ay rice supply kasi yun ang pinaka-importante. Marami po tayong mga bigasan pero hindi nakakarating yung bigas doon sa kailangan natin. Tapos, paano yung distribution? So, the model allowed us to look where our sources are, where the final destinations, where our warehouses, and how to distribute it. So it's actually a distribution model. So it's really more of a logistics model. So parang supply chain model. So we also did it for sardines. We did it for instant noodles, coffee, sugar, and the other one is basic commodities like corn. And if I'm not mistaken, nabanggit ko na yung coffee, ano? No, so, importante yung kape, tsaka mga canned sardines actually, primarily sardines. Yan. Pangalawa na opportunity that we found ourselves in was the call from PGH. The Philippine General Hospital, which was the first, actually, it was the first hospital that was designated as a COVID ward. No? So, dahil PGH had to retrofit, they wanted to help us with triaging, ano yung protocol, how to rearrange things, etc. So, as a result of that, we ended up developing what we call IE Hills for COVID-19 response, which is a web-based software application that aim to provide protocols, guidelines, and tools to, number one, enable efficient patient flow while minimizing risk of transmission. So, nag-simulation kami na scenario na kapag may dumating na pasyente, ano yung protocol? Yung una is yung triaging, tapos saan dadaan, paano ang handling, etc. until the patient is brought to either a yellow code, a green code, and a red code, something like that. No, so that was one of our first. No, and that way we ensure the safety and productivity of our healthcare workers working in PGH. We also developed a sub-module to ensure transparency in the materials and equipment that we receive from donors. Kasi merong dumadating na mga donations of PPEs, no? From hazmats, face masks, face shields, etc. May dumadating na donations na in terms of medical products, etc. So, kailangan namin ma-record yon para rin magkaroon ng transparency and accountability for the donations that PGH was receiving. And therefore, kung meron kaming tinanggap, paano ngayon natin isa-store? No? So we had to do also a system to prepare warehouse storage and distribution. And then, pag nung okay na yon, finally, when outpatient operations were resumed, nag-request sila uli, ma'am, pwede ba nyo kami tulungan? Paano ba how do we resume outpatient operations? And so, what we developed for them is an online outpatient registration, triaging, and scheduling. So primarily, it really established the window for scheduling for teleconference, so teleconsultations. Yon. So ito naging excited kami lahat kasi yung aming IE tools nakita namin na ginagamit siya at immediate ang outcomes of that activity. So, what is the future of work now? So now that we are easing back to what we call the new normal, what is happening now is that we are not actually going full face-to-face in some of the way that we used to do things. Now, what we see is that we expect an increase in work from home arrangements in the near future. So we had to do work from home. We had to do schooling at home. No? And therefore, with that in mind, ergonomics or IE or work design in general for different alternative work arrangements will have to look into how we can help make suggestions or guidelines in terms of the arrangement of physical workspaces, particularly in choosing the appropriate furniture and computer accessories wherever that place is. No? Now, what other challenges could impede productivity in the future? So definitely access to reliable internet and devices, that's one. So therefore, we need to appeal and call on the ICT to ensure that there is really universal access to internet. And then on the other hand, when people are spending more time at work, there could be domestic disruptions, or because you can be distracted by small children, overlapping of house chores now with your own work schedules. And further to that, what future challenge do we foresee? Okay, number one, mobility and accessibility, of course, will be probably limited. We need, therefore, to redesign our public transportation systems that will build in safety protocols and measures. And because we want economic activity to continue, we need to design our workplaces that will take into consideration inclusivity and diversity. In particular, designing for workers that belong to special populations like differently abled persons and the elderly workers. Now, we are now at the stage of Industry 4.0, where the development of information and communication technology drives what we call the digital transformation of economies and society towards what we call the digital ecosystems. And industrials will therefore now take a pivotal role in the design of human-computer interfaces with the adoption of artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality, and of course, the Internet of Things. Now, in the aspect of ergonomics, ergonomics is about being open to change and accommodating a wider range of populations, so offering different technological solutions and platforms. It's also flexible conditions. And this particular area will help people personalize their workplaces, make them feel a sense of belonging and feel comfortable, therefore reducing everyday frustration and effort, and hence increasing mental well-being and productivity. And so, without a doubt, we have entered a new normal that we are finding and defining as we go. And what is certain is that it will not be a return to the old normal. So, IEs will have to continue to be relevant in our pursuit for sustainability towards an evolving future. So, what is the future of work? It's completely different. It will be digitized. AI is coming in, so we have to be prepared for it. We have to be able to embrace it, engage it, and also regulate it. No? So there's a lot of talk about ChatGPT, and we have to be able to filter what is useful and what is not useful, and so on. No? And then, of course, our workplace will be heavily requiring digital skills, computer literacy skills. So our young children even are starting to learn how to use the computer at very young age. I started with using the computer only during my college, no? So now even elementary school kids are also trying to learn now how to use computers. And our cell phones is now becoming an attachment to a lot of our what we do. No? Okay, so as a final message, in today's world, people use technology like never before. So we are into social media. We always check mails. There's scheduling, supply chain logistics, healthcare services, and the list is endless. And so IES will help integrate those human and technology to make people feel connected and have an enjoyable experience. No? We have never been more optimistic about the role of IE can play in the terms of society and in bringing those advances to the many challenges facing our world. And IES will continue to confront complex issues and engineer innovative solutions to address the grand challenges of our time. We need to create a collaborative environment that embraces interdisciplinary thought, creativity, integrated entrepreneurship, cultural awareness, and social responsibility, and advances the translation of ideas into innovations that impact humanity. So the transformational changes of the coming age require bold thinking, from climate change to privacy to a future of medicine as yet unimagined. And though through a culture of discovery, creativity, and innovation, we will continue advanced research and innovation to meet the needs of humankind. And so that is my little bit of sharing for all of you. I know it's a little bit parang compressed, maybe a little bit abstract on one hand, but I hope that with the time that we have, I can entertain more discussion. So thank you. So we can move on to have more conversation.
Thank you very much po, Academician Matias, for the very informative discussion. Actually, we have a couple of questions na po.
Okay.
Let's first address questions from Sir Ines. Actually, he has 4 questions. First po, is IE similar to operations research?
Operations research are tools. It is not industrial engineering. So we use operations research in the practice of industrial engineering. So industrial engineering is the integrative integrative use of resources, no? Like materials, manpower, energy, information, so that we can create systems, where systems would be both in terms of how we do things, who is to do it, and what kinds of tools or equipment. And OR is just a tool. It's mathematical programming in itself. No? But we use it for decision making. No? So we use OR to configure how we distribute, how do we what is the optimal way of distributing scarce resources, identifying locations, best locations, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the next
before
one,
we proceed,
okay.
yes po, acknowledge ko na po si Dr. Ephraim. He raised his hand. Yes po, you're recognized.
Hello, Dr. Ephraim.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon po. Good afternoon, Ma'am Dada. Thank you. Good afternoon din sa lahat ng academicians and ating mga kapanelists. Si Dr. Doy, andito rin pala. Ma'am, Academician Matias, I want to raise something related sa training ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino po, no? It's a recent discussion, or there has been consultations with CHED, TESDA, PRC, yata DepEd, yung yung Philippine Credit Transfer System, na pwede na tayong mag-credit ng mga TESDA skills for engineering degrees. Kasama po dito siguro yung industrial engineering. Ano po ang ating comment dito po, academician?
Yeah. Meron po tayong tinatawag na Philippine Qualifications Framework na we had to align kasi merong
Opo.
qualifications framework na we want our graduates to be recognized in other countries. No? So parang nagkaroon ng parang equivalency, no, na tinatawag. So nag-develop ang Pilipinas ng sarili natin na system. And then may level 1 to 8 po yan. No? So ang kilala lang natin is yung basic education, which is elementary high school. Tapos, ano na kagad? College degree, undergraduate degree. Tapos kinukonsider natin ang testa ng non-voc. Tinatawag natin din silang non-voc. Diba? So, ang qualifications framework po natin is that such that binibigyan na po natin ng halaga ang mga skills-based programs na maaari silang entry point papasok doon sa tinatawag na level 4 na undergraduate degree or baccalaureate. Okay? So, there are two things that I come to mind. No, this is my personal opinion. I disclaim na no, this is not official, but this is how I view it. No, so what is the benefit of the credit transfer? No, una sa lahat, maaaring nung panahon na pagka-graduate mo ng high school, ay wala kang kakayanan na pumunta sa university. Or, ang kapasidad mo ay skills lang muna, di ba? So, pwede kang kumuha ng skills, na learn the skills and then practice it. Then eventually, when it's time for you that you want to earn a baccalaureate degree for a professional track, no? Ay magagamit mo yung credentials mo na yun. Kaya yung tinatawag na credit transfer. Okay? Na pwede mo na siyang gamitin to credit, it will be credited to some of the competencies as defined in the baccalaureate degree. So when it comes to say problem solving is the competency. Eh di ba, kung kahit naman test na ka, kahit naman book, welder, may problem solving din naman na nangyayari, di po ba? So something like that, no? So the credit transfer will benefit those of us who go through the skills, no, that comes before you get a baccalaureate degree. Now, on the one hand, it also provides that segment of our population who really are not inclined for university. Di ba? Na we need skills people naman talaga eh. Technicians, we need welders, we need artisans, no? We do have that job opportunities for them that they do not need a university degree. And therefore, the Philippine Qualified Frameworks provides for those opportunities, no? So yun po ang nakikita ko. So maganda po yun para sa atin. Plus, it provides also for talent mobility, not only the Philippines, but even in ASEAN, no? At least in the ASEAN. I hope I understood.
So do you think po madali na lang po yung mga certificates sa TESDA natin na ma-convert into?
It's not necessarily madali because you still have to earn you have to also prove, no? You have to still take an examination. You have to be tested still whether you are ready for university degrees or not. So definitely, if you are entering, let's say, an engineering program, your mathematics preparation will definitely need to be at a level where you can cope with higher mathematics. So, kasi ang daming skills, di ba? Ang daming skill set. So, pwedeng yung credit transfer, patingi-tingi mo siyang kinukuha, di ba? And then it leads to even what we call micro-credentials. So, I could be a radiological technician. I don't need some, I just know I should be an expert in how to do radiology. No? Pero hindi ako magbabasa ng X-ray, doktor ang magbabasa no. So we all have our own respective roles in the spectrum of work opportunities. So
Thank you.
gusto lang namin na hindi maging second class citizen yung nagbuboktek. Hindi sila second class. They have a space, they have a place in our work, in our working society.
I guess na-disconnect po si Dr. Metilio, but thank you very much po for a very malamang po na discussion, academician. Back po to our Q&A box. Another question from Sir Ike Señeres. Did you use AI for triage?
No, we did not. Hindi po natin ginamit po kasi hindi pa tayo masyadong na-introduce sa AI. No? AI only started really coming out in the open. The AI, nakatago pa yan, secret. No? Hindi kasi we were still, before it was released, we were still very, very skeptical about, whether it's like the nuclear bomb. Di ba? Hindi ka basta-basta maglalabas. No? But, so at the time, it was not a consideration.
Next question po is IE now crossing over into computer science?
No, we are not, but that transdiscipline is happening. So like industrial engineering, we have four how I will say it, domains or tracks. The classical is what we call production systems, where our IEs learn how to design production systems. So systems and operations, no? And then we have what the aspect of human factors and economics, which is my expertise, is looking at health issues, looking at design of work, looking at safety, no? How human-centered design is what I call it, no? So yun ang aspeto. Then there is the aspect of yung mathematics, yung OR. That's another way. Using a lot of decision support systems, decision analysis tools, decision analytical tools, mathematical tools in designing and making decisions. No? And the fourth one is what we call data analytics now. No? Because we also manage information. Industrial engineers are also taught how to manage information. And we used to just deal with the design of information management systems. So designing forms, the flow of information from one department to the other. So we were mainly just looking at the flow of information, digitizing information, but we have now come to the point that we need to analyze data. So we are now into data analytics. And therefore, kailangan mo ng konting computing skills. So some of our IEs want to go into that track. And so we have now what we call data analytics experts who are industrial engineers with a background. Kasi systems analysis and design ang training namin eh. So we want to be able to train our students to determine what kinds of data do you need for a particular problem. Because it's not only just collecting data for data's sake, right? But you have to be able to contextualize the need for information. And because, garbage in, garbage out, no? So, storing information is very expensive. So you have to be very discerning in terms of how you use what information you need to collect, how it is used and processed, and how it is stored. And then eventually, meron ding best ang information. No? When do you discard information? Yeah.
And last question po from Sir Ike Señeres. Who should lead IE design? The ICT or the OST?
IE design. IEs are everywhere. It doesn't have to be in any one department. In terms of the OST, the IEs can go in different aspects. So we can go into energy, we can go into industrial systems, we can go into agriculture, etc., etc. Then IEs can also be in the ICT, in the helping design our information and communications infrastructure, in terms of management of the information. No? But we will leave it to the computer engineers and to the computer science to do the programming and translating it into the machine language. That is not our forte. Hindi kami yon. No, we are the parang architects. No, if we will consider that, no, so yung digital architecture, yung IEs, and then merong iba na the other disciplines take care, no, has the role in now translating those. Yon.
Before we proceed po, may question po tayo sa chat, sa Q&A kanina from Mr. Simeon Miklay. Ma'am, is that a time and motion application? Then it is, tungkol daw po ito on how to do things easier. So yung po yung tanong niya, is it a time and motion application?
Which one? IE? Now anyway, time and motion studies are the classic. IE started their work as time and motion study teams, where the discipline of IE was to learn to do work measurement, knowing how much and how long it takes to produce a particular unit. So we started with that as the basic skill, classical yan. But the discipline of industrial has evolved beyond just time and motion. Time and motion studies is just, one skill that we expect of our students or graduates, that you know how to measure work. Kasi you have to define, no, how long it will take so that you can plan on how many needs to do it, how do you plan and distribute your work, how many machines you need, what kinds of what is the pace, no, or targets of production, how do you measure productivity. So time and motion studies is just the very, very, very basic skill, very parang the ABCs, no? But there are more skills beyond doing time and motion studies. So I just put it in a nutshell. So we try to find an easier way of doing things, so ease of doing things in general.
We have question po from Sir Doy Romero. Question for Agad Matias. We have the impression that DepEd and CHED are among the most system-challenged organizations of the government. How much IE is being practiced in these organizations, and how much better can we improve their systems, structures, and performance? Are they open to IE inputs?
Unfortunately, I have not been able to deal with DepEd officials. And probably they can make use of IEs, no, in fixing their systems and procedures, especially in the delivery of our basic education systems. So, as far as CHED is concerned, again, of course, all of our national government and line agencies may benefit from hiring an IE consultant or even hiring industrial engineering graduates as part of their staff to enhance their technical skills and do better systems. ISO 9000 actually came from the industrial engineering profession. It was developed by industrial engineers because we are talking about standardization, we're talking about accountability and ensuring that there is a quality assurance, no? And so I would think that because of the law that requires all government agencies to be ISO certified, they would have probably benefited from the advice coming from an industrial engineer.
We still have questions po in our Q&A box. First po is, it's a comment from Sir Simeon Miklay. Thanks, ma'am. A very interesting topic. I was thinking of the application of our discussion in building design.
Okay.
So that is a comment po.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that comment. No? Yes, we can be good consultants for building design. For example, the gate, your steps, there is supposed to be, the optimal height of stairs. There are some stairs that they have, too big of a stride. And then these are designed based on international standards who are taller and longer-legged people, no? But we have to have our own Asian or Filipino design standards, particularly in the design of stairs, for example. Building for access for persons with disabilities, even the ramp designs, things that will have to do where the person enters the building, looking at how do you design your lifts, your elevator systems, and so on. So you could use some usability experts coming from the industrial engineering profession. So yes, you can use a lot of engineering IE principles in building design as well.
Another question po from Sir Ike Señeres. Do you think that you are appreciated and understood by our national leaders, our lawmakers? Can they fathom you?
There are some who have listened. There are some who are more open to our wisdom. But we still have a lot of challenges to face and doors to knock and open and windows to open. So it is really a very big challenge. So I actually, later when I talk to our new certified industrial engineers, is to continue to challenge them to continue, no? To persevere that our voices are heard in design aspects.
Thank you po. Question po ulit from Sir Doy Romero. Thanks for a very strategic topic to present. Is it possible to introduce IE concepts in elementary school so pupils have a sense of planning, logistics, systems as an antidote to our cultural penchant for bahala na?
Yes, I agree with you, Doy. A long time no see. But I do agree that we can, no? It doesn't have to be labeled as IE. It just could be labeled as common sense. I mean, like budgeting. How to make use of, let's say you have your allowance. You're given 20 pesos. How do you budget your 20 pesos in a day, in a week, etc.? So just looking at problem solving of how to extend, use of a wise use, prudent use of basic resource, a very simple resource as your allowance in elementary school. Another way is we have activities in elementary school, right? And so we can also introduce these kinds of skills of being wise in terms of providing them with opportunities to plan, for example, how do you make use or how do you let's say merong mga due day, di ba? Yung how do you clean up? Now, how much materials, how much cleaning materials do you need to be able to clean up your room? Now, what materials will you need? So the planning can be infused, no? And integrated into actual experiential and practical activities. So, yeah, I would love to be able to do that, no? And bring down the IE skills to not our just in the tertiary level, but down to the very, very young, no? Elementary and our high school students.
Thank you po, Kanora. Do we still have questions from our participants and our panelists? Yes po,
Yeah.
Ma'am Luli.
Yeah, we visited, hello, Aura. We visited some flooded areas recently in Pampanga and Bulacan. And among the solutions that we usually hear about flooding in these areas is that the local government will increase the height of the concrete the concrete walks and the roads. So parang to take care of the flood, tataasan lang ng tataasan yung kalye. So, naiiwan yung bahay. So, yung mga bahay ngayon ng binabaha, maabot na sa window nila yung level noong bintana. So, ay yung level ng roads, no? So, yung tubig na iipon sa kanila. I wonder, if we can apply IE designs in trying to remedy some of the problems in these flooded areas.
The structural design, something that we don't have the skills to do that. So, but what we can contribute in is to do an environment and social impact assessment. So that's where the IEs can come in, no? So to do an environmental assessment as well, environmental impact as well as a social impact assessment. So doon sa social impact assessment, therefore that has to be built into the planning process and the evaluation of the solutions, no, of the structural engineers, the civil engineers, no, yung work nila. So we really have to work hand in hand. So the conversation, even in planning and in the infrastructure development, really has to be cross-disciplinary. We may have the engineering solution, but the social impact of the engineering solution has adverse effects. So therefore, that has to be brought into the design table.
Yeah. Thanks, Aura. Kailangan talaga interdisciplinary.
Yes, definitely. Kasi, definitely, but particularly yung social impact, ma'am. Luli. So the social impact aspect is something that we still need to continuously introduce kasi we were so immersed in the environmental impact, how it's an impact on the tributaries, in the land, etc. But we lose sight of the social impact, meaning the community, its effect on the community. So like you're saying, okay, naisip lang nila yung akyat baba ng mga as far as yung daloy ng tubig, pero what happens to the communities, no, in the surrounding, and therefore we lose sight of those elements, and so that's really collaboration and cross-discipline design should be considered.
Right. Thanks.
We still have questions po, Akad Ora. One question po from an anonymous attendee. Thank you very much po. Nice to know that you can be consultants to building designs. Would Feng Shui also influence on IA designing buildings?
Unfortunately, Feng Shui is not a skill that is taught in the university, but of course, if the building client, the client is more comfortable in looking at Feng Shui, then that is an aspect that could possibly be considered by the designers, but not the IEs. No, where we don't know, wala kaming skills sa Feng Shui. Yeah, I saw a question by Simeon. No? Perhaps especially for example, layout. We can do that. No, what we did for UPPGH was to reconfigure the flow of people. No, layout design. So even in paperwork, in an office, if the document moves, parang spaghetti lines. No, we also help in changing the way that tables are arranged, spaces, how they are arranged, so that there is a less travel time of documentations. But of course, with digitization, wala na yon, di ba? Kasi kung through the internet na ang daan. But that is as far as space use. We do have those skills for space use.
Thank you po. Question po ulit from Sir Ike Señeres. Can you use IE to regulate and control the dangers of AI and machine learning?
AI is still such a strange thing for me. I'm also learning about it. But offhand, I could say that the IEs can help in understanding and separate, separating what is misuse and what is advantageous for its application. And so that would be our challenge. So now that it is something that is inevitable. We see some benefits of the use of AI because it hastens decision making. But on the one hand, AI has those dangers of where AI can actually be misused. Okay, and so that would be the role of IEs, is to separate the good use from the bad use, and then also to teach our students to be more discerning, so how to discern the good from the bad.
Thank you po. Question po ulit from Sir Doy. Thank you for such a positive response. Can we also give our legislators and department secretaries a test for matching inputs to outputs to outcomes? Or should there be a departmental systems managers?
How I wish so. But what what we can do is really expect a more discerning citizenry in terms of expecting, let's say, what are the KPIs? Now, what do they promise? And then, held them accountable to those KPIs. At the very least, because they are ISO certified, my expectation is that all our government agencies who are ISO certified, there is that group, the ISO certifying bodies, who will be our pseudo systems managers, who will look into whether the systems as written are actually being implemented. And that in the ISO certification process kasi, there is what we call continuous quality improvement, where areas of improvement are actually included in the exit report, and therefore in the next review, tinatanong kung anong ginawa nila, no, doon sa mga areas of improvement that were identified. And so each department should actually have a quality assurance unit, an internal audit unit. So, hindi na kailangan ng department, internal na siya within the department. But there probably has, or maybe I can say DILG could be there. It could have one bureau there that talks about looking at the performance of all the local government for DILG, and DOH can look at all the regional health centers, and kanya-kanya siya. And then at the very top, the office of the president should have how do you say, a quality assurance office.
Okay po, Adora, do we still have questions from our panel and our participants?
Ike Sanier's hand is raised.
Josh, can we promote Mr. Señeres to be a panelist? Thank you. While waiting po, we just like to inform everyone na nasa chat box na po ang ating link for the evaluation form. So if you want to receive your e-certificates, please accomplish the form. Yun po, I think na-promote na po ni Josh si Mr. Ike Señeres.
Actually, ang worry ko po, baka hindi kayo mag-gets ng mga lawmakers. Baka hindi kayo, sa Tagalog, baka hindi kayo maarok, hindi kayo ma-fathom. So, I don't really know what is the way to do that. May imbita ba kayo sa mga Senate hearings? Are you being asked to submit your position papers? And then what you said just now, no? Well, but will there at that time come that Office of the President will put up a QA infrastructure right where they are? That would be great. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I got disconnected, nagkumulog dito sa where I am. But I could not actually open my video.
Yeah, would you like me to repeat?
Can you please repeat? So if you don't mind, I somehow could not open my video, but I could now hear you.
Yeah, yun nga ang concern ko. Baka hindi kayo maintindihan ng mga lawmakers. Sa Tagalog, baka hindi kayo maarok, hindi kayo mafatong. And is there really a mechanism na halimbawa may imbita ba kayo sa mga Senate hearings? Kasi yung mga Senate hearings medyo reactive lang sa mga current events, no? Are you invited to present position papers? And yung idea mo maganda, quality assurance unit, Malacanang. Are they even aware of that? Na magandang idea yun. Thank you.
Well, what I can say is that at the moment, our invitation to Senate hearings is on an ad hoc basis. It's not regular. So at the Academy, in fact, our aspiration is that we are regularly included. In fact, I would like to be included before the bill is actually presented. In other words, we are consulted from the very onset of the design of any law or bill. That would be very great. No, that would be the ideal situation. Unfortunately, that is not what is the practice at the moment. But the Academy, being designated as the science advisor to the Office of the President of the Cabinets, we strive as much as possible for our wisdom and our collective science evidence-based advice is presented and to the DOST and our planning body NEDA, and hopefully those resolutions that we craft every year reach the proper channel. So we are now moving towards more actively engaging with the line agency. So that's where we can probably be heard. No? So the practice of quality assurance really is something that still has a long way to go. And so we will just have to, at least the law that requires ISO certification is a good start. It's a headway. Very, very,
Okay.
I would say that's a big step in itself. But we should go beyond that. And we have the Philippine Quality Award. And so, but that is voluntary. So if more and more of our government agencies would be subject to the Philippine Quality Award lens, then that would probably be of great help. But legislation is a different matter. So we really have to be more aggressive in getting our legislators to listen to the science advice.
Dr. Matias, I can volunteer to become your post office your mailman. If you have policy studies or draft bills, I can be your delivery boy.
Oh, great. That would be. In fact, the Academy...
Para maparating natin sa Kongreso
the
sa
Academy
Senado.
have many resolutions. No? So, kaya lang sa dami talaga kailangan i-prioritize.
Bigyan mo sa akin. Bigyan mo lang ng formal na cover letter para may personality.
Sige, sir. We will count on your assistance.
Yeah, I have the number of Paul. He has my number. My other concern, ma'am, this is just a personal observation, no? Well, positive naman yung convergence of sciences, no? Pero may nakikita kung nagkakainan yung mga fields. Halimbawa, yung emerging field ng data science, mukhang dinidipahan niya lahat. Ang concern ko, baka magkakainan niya na yung surviving entity, baka hindi niya ma-appreciate yung mga kinain niya. No? At baka mawala sa, ano ba tawag yan? Mawala ng papel. For example, I purposely asked about OR, no? Kasi parang napansin ko humina yung role ng OR over the years, no? In terms of maximization, no? Nung nag-emerge yung mga software, parang medyo nawalan siya ng papel. I know the ORSP is still around, pero parang they are not as prominent as before, no? Yun. And then, in terms of sikat yung data science, eh. Baka matapakan yung ibang fields. Thank you.
Yeah, alam nyo, panapanahon din naman yan, mga flavor of the month na masasabi natin na, may uso-uso. Uso-uso. Kasi because our technology is also evolving. But I think operations research will continue to be there because except that we are now developing better tools. No? Instead of manually computing, we are using computing technology so that the solutions of our mathematical models can be readily and at a shorter time. Data analytics is just a subset actually of the whole gamut of use of data. No? So, dahil dumating ang big data, no? So kaya nagkaroon branding lang sa akin on my personal opinion, just like value engineering, it used to be very good, no, but and then it was rebranded into systems engineering. So for now, data analytics is the new brand, and different disciplines, because it's no one domain's how do you say monopoly. Kasi data analytics can be used by any discipline, even the social sciences, the engineers, the science, make use of data. So I don't fear the loss of OR in the field, because we still need to teach different ways of optimization. The discipline of optimization is going to be, it will remain as a basic competence. So I suppose.
Sige po. Follow-up comment lang, ma'am. I think yung NAST kasi ang brain trust ng DOST. And I'm glad you have this kind of forums. No? But my question is, meron ba talagang venue na napapakinggan kayo ng DOST? Kasi sa tingin ko, over the years, of course, nagpapalit na mga secretary. Pero stable yung NAST. Yung mga academicians nandiyan pa rin kahit sino secretary. Is there really a mechanism na napapakinggan ng NAST na whoever is sitting on top of DOST?
Yeah. Sir, the NAST is how do you say? Ano ba yung term? Hindi naman affiliate or is an
autonomous.
It's an independent but attached organization of the DOST. And so all academicians are, we are spread all over the different councils. We have annual activities where we do consultative meetings and focus group discussions apart from our own disciplines, so arenas as a scientist or as an academician. So we're always naman in touch with the DOST. So in fact, the most recent initiative is the crafting of what we call the STI foresight, yung pagtanaw, which Secretary de la Peña himself commissioned us to put together. And now, with the support of NEDA Secretary Balisacan, who himself is an academician and who was also a co-author of the foresight, is supporting the rolling out of the foresight to across all agencies. So we are seeing much more traction this years.
Thank you.
Unlike in many years ago, but we see more traction. And of course, this initiative of national scientists, Lily Cruz of the future, the SDG Hour, really is bringing the conversations to a much wider base.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much po for a very enriching discussion, and thank you, Academician Aura, for answering all the questions for this afternoon. And with that, I guess we have covered every question naman po sent by our participants and our panelists. Again, thank you very much po, Academician Aura si Matias, for giving us a very fruitful discussion on the roles and possible contributions of IE in the future, and even its contribution to Future Earth Philippines program. And to repeat po, nasa chat box na po natin ang link for the evaluation form. Please accomplish it if you want your certificates to be sent. Just make sure po na tamang email address, because we receive bouncing emails na mali po email addresses. And we invite you to our next episode, Friday po at 4 to 5 p.m. And this has been Paul from Future Earth Philippines, and this concludes our SDG Action Hour for this Friday. Thank you very much po.